And welcome back to another Sunday night with Johnboy. Look, we've got a big show ahead of us. We've got Snicko on the couch, who's going to be spewing absolute garbage. But before we can get to that, all the good stuff, we have a weekly recap to do in a hurry. We've got Monday night starting with the Whites and the Knights. The Knights, they kept it close in Penrose, 24 points to 6 in the end, but it was a 6-all game going into the last 20. And unfortunately, Chris Lord, Danny Milana, and Jalen Solomon just had a little bit too much class for the men and women from Newcastle. They got up by 18 points at home, and the Whites secured yet another impressive win as they start to trolley towards what looks like a minor premiership. Now, the second game of the Monday night, the Bulldogs taking on the Panthers. Doggies got up 32 points to 18. It was actually pretty easy in the end. A good effort from the Panthers. Tried to keep it close to the start, but unfortunately, the Dogs showed a bit too much class at the moment. They're starting to absolutely fold teams, and maybe the boys from Belmore, maybe they might mount a premiership assault. Big Ben at the halves seems to be an inspired choice, but we'll have to see if that works out next week when they take on the Roosters. Now, to round out the Monday night, the Tigers took on the Eels. They beat the Eels 13 points to 12 on Golden Point. Okay, well, he saw them off with a field goal to seal the deal and break Parramatta hearts. It was a 12-0 deficit, if I'm not mistaken, before the Eels came roaring back thanks to Jack Jimmy. They scored 2 tries off the bench at prop. Maybe something for the Eels to work on moving forward is how they can best use them off the bench, that extra speed you get from your edge rowers. Now, the Tuesday night had 2 games here. The Dolphins take on the Rabbitohs, and the Seagulls take on the Sharks. Dolphins and the Bunnies was a fantastic game. It was a bit of a grind, if I'm being completely honest, to watch. The Dolphins came out 24 points to 16. Justin Pleasant's men keep on finding ways to win. Him and Brody Townsend have one hell of a combination at the back. We'll have to see if that move to wing fullback does pay dividends. I know he was keen to get some more options out back, especially with him losing quite a few talented outside backs in the off-season, but I think he's one of the game's premier edges. He won a selection for Queensland playing at edge, so we'll have to wait and see if that move is all he would have hoped it will end up being. But the last Tuesday night game had us losing to the Seagulls 16 points to 6. Mitch Binder with Merry Men finding a way to overcome us. NKW was a particular standout. He absolutely tore us to pieces with the boot and with his legs. It was a tough watch if you're a Cronulla fan. Tough watch for your captain, let alone. I thought the Seagulls were valiant in defence. And punishing on attack where they needed. Ethan Goodwin sealed our fate late with a try in the corner to just put a kibosh on any hopes of a comeback for us. Now, the last 2 games on Wednesday had the Storm taking the Raiders and the Roosters taking on the Titans. And the Storm vs Raiders was, I thought, going to be a G-check for the Raiders. Unfortunately for them, unfortunately for the Storm, that is, they went down 22 points to 16. They lost yet another game. That's, I believe, 2 losses in 3 games, if I'm not mistaken. And maybe something to consider for the boys from Belmore. Boys from Melbourne, I should say, if something needs to be adjusted in their setup. They're not quite starting as hot as they did last year, and potentially feeling the loss of Akatank in particular in the middle, with NBT trying to fill that space left by their previous Platinum. Now, lastly, the Roosters took on the Titans, and this was a close game. The boys on the Gold Coast were trying their darndest to stave off a bottom-of-the-table finish at the end of the round. Unfortunately for them, Patrick Corcoran had other ideas. He ran the length of the field to seal their fate and consigned the Titans to another loss in what has already been a very, very tough season for the boys from the Goldie. Max Tapoke back to the drawing board, back into the lab. Eventually to see how they adjust going into the Raiders game on Monday against the top of the table 6-1 Raiders. Tell you what, I wouldn't be looking forward to that game if I was a Titans fan. But look, Tapoke is a quality captain. He should find a way. If anyone else is able to, he would. But that is all we have time for this weekly recap. Joining us on the couch will be Snicko. We look forward to having him actually in the office for once. He's trying to turn together days after missing an episode egregiously 2 weeks ago. But we hope you enjoy, and I'll see you soon. And welcome to another Sunday night show with Johnboy and Snicko. We have Snicko joining us for once. It is glad to have him back in the office.
For once, I was here last week.
It's good to have him back in the office, back on the couch. We were able to just dissect the week that's been. It's been a busy week, a lot of big wins and a lot of tough losses, to put it politely. All that and much more to come. But firstly, as always, Snicko, it's good to have you back. How you doing, buddy?
Very good. You might have watched our game. You commentated.
I did commentate your game. It was actually a very good game.
The Roosters with the win. Titans in the bin.
Yeah. But the poor Titans, they can't catch a break. Dean Dolsey, Corcoran. I give my apologies to Paddy Boy. I mispronounced his name the entire game. And then I think I got to the end, and then I was like, that's Corcoran, not Corrigan. But we'll get there. We can chalk
Not the first man to mispronounce a hard name.
We can chalk it up to inexperience.
Of a different descent, but
yeah,
I guess you can get Corcoran wrong if you feel like it.
Yeah, we'll chalk that one up to being out of the comms booth for a while. But given we've had such an explosive week, I think we should get straight into our 6 again, Snick. I know time to dilly-dally. And I'll kick us off because I feel like you've got some bangers lined up to link us in to your Greek Freak of the Week. But we'll start with the Dolphins. And you know what I'm going to say? I say it every week. The Dolphins are contenders. Top 4 team.
Bonkers.
I say it every week. They're not, but continue.
Look, if you look at the game, they win. They're not the prettiest wins, but they do win games. And
2 weeks ago, they lost 9-8 against the Sharks. Is that correct?
19,
or 12-9?
19-18 to us. But then they beat the Bunnies.
Yeah, so if you lose to the Sharks, automatically not a contender.
Oh, but 2 wins in the row. I don't know. I believe in ChatGPT. But kick us off with your first one, Snicko.
My first one, perhaps a bit controversial, is that the Panthers are maybe better than their ladder position suggests. They're sitting in the bottom 8. They've had some really close losses. I think Captain TVK is maybe one step away from putting it all together, and I wouldn't be surprised if they go on a strong late season run.
Yeah, that step away is stepping down to the vice captaincy. But you know what? It's harsh. I actually do agree. I do agree with you. I don't think they're that bad. I think that TPK, if he fiddles with this line a bit, could see himself maybe make a top 8 push if they're lucky. The results haven't gone their way though recently, I don't think. So he'd do well to rally his boys. But for my second one, I'm selling my Storm stocks. They are in trouble. They are in serious trouble. I don't see them winning the comp this year. And that's probably because also the Wires and the Raiders are far and away better than them. But I don't know, they're just watching them. They aren't as inspired as last year. A few mistakes. They've lost a couple uncharacteristically. I think they lost this week as well, didn't they? They went down to the Raiders.
Raiders, yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much 1-for-1 in the top 4, so they can't take on the top 4 side. It's going to be a tough season.
Well, one thing to note, they lost the best 5-8 in the game. Pac Walker made their way north to Bondi.
Yeah,
and I think they just haven't quite recovered.
Well, he's winning games for them single-handedly, it seems. So what's your second one?
Funny you mentioned the Raiders because I'm a hater. I'm a non-believer in this Raiders team. The personnel-wise, in terms of pure personality, big fan. In terms of playing style, I don't know how they're winning games. And I think that eventually they're going to start losing, and I won't know why they're losing either, but I think it's going to happen. And I think when they do start their slide, they could go on a bit of a run of losses.
To coin your terminology, would you call them a false economy? Or are we getting... Because we're coming towards the business part of the season. We're in those middle 3 rounds where...
Yeah, look, lightning doesn't strike twice, and it was a great analogy last week, but let me tell you, Riley Flynn and Blackburn, they might have been electrocuted here.
Well, they've got a tough assignment. Well, tough. They're playing the Titans, who are last. But they've got a tough...
Well, that's the thing. They've beaten a lot of good teams, and I just feel like they're like going to flip and they're going to jag a few losses against teams they should probably beat.
In all fairness, they only lost also... Well, they did get curb stomped by the Wires, but it is the Wires, and they do it to everyone, to be fair.
Except for us. Anyway, moving on.
Shut up. But see, that links nicely into my take, which is the Wires are by far and away the best team in the comp. That's not particularly hot, to be honest. But the way they've been stringing wins together, like the Knights game, I don't know if you watched that, but I commed it, and it was 6-6 with I think 25 to go. And then Chris Lord decides to activate Super Saiyan powers, and he steps through the line and knocks off 2 defenders to score into the posts. And from there, it just feels like the Wires just find ways to win. It's not always pretty, but it's been relatively pretty the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, I think maybe the last 2-3 weeks, Chris Lord especially has just been on a tear.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems every game he just does something freaky.
And especially with the way that they kind of off the bench, they have Tuiaki, who's a wing fullback playing at 15. And I think it's probably starting to become orthodox around the league. But that extra speed up the middle and the 20 to 40 slot's quite good for winning quarters. But I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how they tee up against the Eels and the Finns, both teams who are quite adept at playing ugly footy. But
yeah, look, you win quarters, I win games.
Maybe that's win why. Games.
Anyway, the Tigers, they're my last one. And just like I was a bit high on the Panthers, I am correspondingly a bit low on the Tigers. They're sitting in the 8 at the moment. I believe they've had a bye. They have a positive record, but I'm just unsure. I think that the whole Tigers 19+ thing is papering over a few cracks where they've sort of had a bit of an easy run. And I think that they could be another team that has a bit of a slide, and maybe even the Panthers could be the team to come into the 8. Or preferably, maybe it'll be the team in the red, white, and blue.
Well, they have played some teams in terms of pure ladder position that aren't. Well, they played the bye 3 weeks ago, but they had the Knights, last week, and then this.
They've had the Panthers already.
Yeah, so those are not easy wins, but easier than maybe the rest of their schedule will allow.
If you want to make the finals, you better be beating those teams.
But we talk about things that we look forward to all weekend. I've been in bed just waiting for this moment because I think it's time for your Greek Freak of the Week, if I'm not mistaken, Snicko.
Oh, and let me tell you, you are going to enjoy this
Oh,
one.
Jesus Christ.
Those who fail to learn from history are condemned to repeat it.
Are you familiar, John Boy, with the story of Icarus?
Say I wasn't, Snicko. Please enlighten me.
No, you tell me about this one. I think this will be better.
So from what I know, Icarus flew too close to the sun with wax wings and then fell into the ocean and died.
And so maybe we could do a bit of call and response. If you had to pick a team this week, who do you think that could be? Or over the last couple of weeks?
Are you going to say the Sharks?
Oh, yes, I am. 19 plus, he reckons, against Manly, a team not even in the top 8. And didn't they come crashing back down to earth? It's lucky Sharks are aquatic creatures because they're underwater at the moment and they need to do some swimming to get back up. I think that, sometimes you just got to be cocky, John Boy, and against a team that has lost a few goals and a few players.
Bonkers.
Spanked by Manly, I must say. I was disappointed not to see the 19 plus in reverse, but let me tell you, that was a glorious watch. For that reason, you, John Boy, are my Greek Freak of the Week.
How long did you have that in your back pocket for? That's genuinely.
Did you enjoy that?
Just the setup, everything. You must have had that in your back. Since Tuesday night. You must have had that ready. I'm speechless. We're going to move to the round 7 games, and as always, we got our previews of the games to come, and I'm sure Snicko will chime in with his game of the week at the end, and anything he disagrees with over the course of my analysis. We'll
Take it away, John Boy.
We'll start on Monday, and the Raiders over time. I'm going to go Raiders 9-18. I've been a defender of Max Taupoka, and I do believe in this team. I just think that sometimes you have seasons where nothing goes your way, and this is one of them. And I don't think the Titans get out of the hole. Now we've got the Roosters. I'm going to go Roosters 1-8 and an upset. Uncharacteristically for me, I'm backing the Roosters to actually do something. I don't think the Doggies will be able to put it all together against the Roosters' spine. I know they've got Beckman in at half, but I just don't think he's quite ready against comparatively more experienced spine options. Dolan will be playing at 9 on Monday, if I'm not mistaken.
He will be. I tell you what, Hugh Mann in the 7. Hasn't he had a couple of first halves to remember?
He's been fantastic.
We haven't mentioned him yet. Yeah.
Him and his shiny bald head, man. It's ridiculous.
Oh, yeah. Knows how to run the ball.
Him and Luke Breve, there must be a thing going on at Bondi to shave your head to play. Breve was excellent as well against the Titans last week. But yeah, we're one to an upset. I think the boys of Bondi do a big win over a top 4 side. That's not the last. So we'll go to the next one, and they'll take on the Seagulls take on the Rabbitohs, and for Finn Manning, Rabbitohs 1-8. At some point, the Rabbitohs have to win. I just surely they can't lose every single game I tip them. But they should have too much the Seagulls, who by a stroke of luck defeated us by 10 points last week. We'll go to Tuesday, and the Eels take on the Wires. This could get ugly for the Eels. I know they've got a tendency to drag teams down to the depths, but the Wires are very adept at swimming, and I think they're going to come out on top probably 9-18, if I was to take a guess. Damo is fantastic. He's a strong-ass fullback, and he's got a knack for scoring tries now. We'll have to see how errors go. We know that errors, depending on which way they flow, can switch a game. So in the Tigers against the Knights a couple of weeks ago, and against the Sharks against the Sea Eagles. So it'll be interesting to see how the men from Paris square up. Now the Dolphins take on the Tigers, and to back on to what Snicko said, I'm going to go Dolphins 9-18. I think ChatJPT and his men will find a way to win this game yet again, and I think the Tigers will keep it close. It'll be 1-8 to the Dolphins until the last 10 minutes, and then someone, I think Justin plays a pro score from the fullback to seal the deal. And just before I get to Wednesday, actually. Snicko, what do you think about all the switches people have been making, by the way? Like, I think we talked about Justin before, but I don't think he needed to switch to a fullback. He was one of the best edge players in the comp. Like, he was a Queensland Origin rep.
That a lot of the changes. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Anyway, going on to Wednesday, the Knights take on the Cowboys. You have to think the Knights get their second win of the season at home. The Cowboys haven't been too impressive. They had the bye last week, and they got absolutely just manhandled by the Raiders at the nation's capital two weeks ago. The Knights need a win. Finals is probably a distant prospect for the men and women from the Iron City. Unfortunately, I just don't think they have enough in the tank to see it through, but they'll have enough in the tank to get the win.
Keep pushing that, Rock Knights. You'll get up the hill eventually.
And finally, Sharks 19+. Not close. I'm probably going to score 3 tries. We're going to get back to winning ways after a terrible, terrible loss to the Sea Eagles. We're at home now, so I can keep up a good run of form in the Shire. But Otherwise, Snicko, anything to add onto the reviews? What's your game of the week?
Yeah, just the one for me. Eels versus Warriors. I'm very, very interested to see how the Eels fare there. I think fourth, third, fifth, they're in that range. They're up there, that's for sure. Against who we call the benchmark in the Warriors. I think the Eels definitely have it in them to cause the upset. Will they do it? I'm still backing the Warriors, but either way, I think it could be a very interesting game to watch.
It will be a good game. I think top 5 duel. You know, if you extend it a little bit for the Eels, they'll have a lot on their hands. They've had a few losses recently, if I'm not mistaken. I think they lost to the Tigers last week, and then they may have lost. Oh no, I think they beat the Bunnies. So up and down, up and down. We'll have to see how that ends up. But I think otherwise that'll be us for tonight. It's been a pleasure as always, Snicko. We look forward to seeing you next week. We'll look forward to catching you all throughout the week to come in SRL action. It's been a pleasure. I'm Johnboy and joined by my good friend Snicko, bro. We'll catch you in about 7 days' time. In the meantime, take care, brush your hair, and I'll see you in the next one.
Rock and roll, not a soul is said. Then the loud sound it seemed to fade, came back like a slow voice on a wave.